The first measure I wish to announce is a review of the regulatory framework for electronic trading platforms. The Reserve Bank's extant regulatory framework for electronic trading platforms was issued in 2018. In view of the subsequent developments in markets, products and technology, etc., a revised regulatory framework for this electronic trading platforms will be issued for stakeholders' feedback. The next announcement relates to hedging of gold price risk in the OTC market, that is over-the-counter market in the International Financial Services Center, IFSC. In December 2022, the Reserve Bank had permitted resident entities to hedge their gold price risk in recognized exchanges in the IFSC. It has now been decided to allow resident entities to hedge the price of gold. Now let me just read it again. It has now been decided to also allow resident entities to hedge the price of gold in the OTC segment in the IFSC. This will provide more flexibility to resident entities in hedging their exposure to gold prices. The next announcement is actually very important and has far-reaching consequences. Particularly, it is something which will really benefit the small borrowers from the lending sector, from banks and other entities. At present, and that relates to key fact statement, that is KFS for retail and MSME loans and advances. At present, the loans and advances availed by borrowers, apart from including the rate of interest, also include other fees and charges such as the processing fees, documentation charges, etc. So as a result, what happens is that the customer, he knows that the loan carries an interest of so much percentage, but then there are other charges and fees, etc., which he pays upfront. Now that also needs to be loaded into the actual interest rate, so the customer has a clear idea that what is the actual annualized interest rate that he pays. And this is something on which, as you are aware, as I have said a little earlier, customer centricity is something on which the Reserve Bank lays a great emphasis in the overall public interest. Now, to enhance transparency in disclosure of such information, that is information on various charges, fees, etc., the Reserve Bank had mandated certain categories of lenders to provide the borrower a key fact statement, that is KFS, containing essential information such as all-inclusive annual percentage rate and recovery, and also details of the recovery and grievance redress mechanism. The requirement of the key fact statement is now being extended to cover all retail and MSME loans. This measure will lead to enhanced transparency in lending and will enable customers in making informed decisions. The circular will be issued separately. Obviously, we have to give some time to the banks to comply with these requirements because quite a few preparatory action needs to be taken at the end of the banks. The next announcement relates to enhancing the robustness of AEPS. Aadhaar-enabled payment systems, that is AEPS, has played an important role in financial inclusion by enabling customers to make digital payment transactions through service providers such as business correspondents. Given their significance, it is proposed to streamline the process for onboarding of AEPS service providers and introduce some additional fraud risk management measures. This measure will further strengthen the security of the AEPS system and enhance its robustness. The next announcement relates to principle-based framework for authentication of digital payment transactions. Over the years, the Reserve Bank has proactively facilitated introduction of various mechanisms such as additional factor of authentication for securing digital payments. While no particular mechanism was specified by the Reserve Bank, SMS-based OTP, that is one-time password, has become very popular. With technological advancements, however, alternative authentication mechanisms have emerged in recent years. Therefore, to facilitate adoption of alternative authentication mechanisms for enhancing the security of digital payments, it is proposed to put in place a principle-based framework for authentication of such transactions. The next and the final announcement, the last announcement, relates to introduction of programmability and offline functionality in central bank digital currency pilot projects. The CBDC, that is Central Bank Digital Currency Retail, the CBDC retail pilot currently enables person-to-person and person-to-merchant transactions. It is now proposed to enable additional functionalities of programmability and offline capability in CBDC retail payments. Programmability will facilitate transactions for specific or targeted purposes, while offline functionality will enable these transactions in areas with poor or limited internet connectivity. I now propose to conclude. The Indian economy is making confident progress on a strong, sustained and transformative growth path. Domestic and international investors are reposing greater confidence on India's economic prospects. In our assessment, the current setting of monetary policy is moving in the right direction, with growth holding firm and inflation trending down to the target. Therefore, much has been achieved, but we must remain vigilant. Policy making during uncertain times has to be based on a continuous assessment of the incoming data and its implications for the evolving outlook. We reaffirm our commitment to bring down inflation to the target of 4% in a timely and sustainable manner. Price and financial stability are the foundations for strong, sustainable and inclusive growth. Our endeavor all along has been to take a holistic approach to keep the economy in balance. We must not only preserve the hard-earned strength and stability of the Indian economy, but also build on this further for a long haul of higher growth with price and financial stability. In the current environment, what Mahatma Gandhi said long ago remains very relevant, and I quote, "I am moving cautiously, watching myself at every step. I repeat, I am moving cautiously, watching myself at every step. But there is the fixed determination behind every act of mine." Thank you. Namaskar.